What role does the NAACP have in our community?
Today, and we are not back in 1909, but today we are to ensure the political, educational, and social and economical equality for the rights of all people. We are here to eliminate racial hatred, discrimination, regardless of race, religion, creed, for all people.
Okay. That goes back to my next question. Is the NAACP for everyone? That's a question that our community has, and I want to throw it out to you. I know the answer, but I want you to answer it for us.
Okay, we've got a couple of answers here. We've got one from Mr. Pichon there. But yes, we are, as I stated, not in 1909. We are more diverse communities. So when it comes to social, economic justice and equality for all people, we are willing and we don't discriminate because the NAACP was a multiracial organization from the beginning.
Right.
So yes, we are here for everyone.
Well, I agree with that. Also, I think we should concentrate more on our kids, getting them more involved in school, interested in school, and continuing their education.
Yeah, education is the key right now.
It is the biggest key. Yeah.
I call education sometimes the great equalizer. When all else fails, it equalizes, that balances the playing field.
You know, I look at education not only as the youth aspect, but we have adults that need to be educated because we think that what used to be still is. So we don't keep up and educate ourselves to our society and the changes that we have in the society nowadays. It's when people ask, what does the NAACP do? Well, we don't see you guys doing anything. Well, it's great if we don't have to. Right. And it's great if things can resolve without, showing the radical side of the NAACP. But we are recognized undercover. Once society and the government or whomever understands that the NAACP is here, a lot of things are kept on the low key. So sure, we do investigate a lot of things, but it's very important, and we are still the biggest and the baddest organization out there for civil rights.
Right, which is beautiful. We need that, to be perfectly honest. But some people believe that the NAACP does a better job of, or more divides the country than bring it together. What do you think about that?
That's it's not a true statement of division, because again, education, when you educate a person as to what you do, how you do it, when you do it, then quite naturally the guy that's doing wrong has influence on a certain amount of people. So if you're not educated and updated to why we are and what we do, then you will think that we are a dividing group, but we're not, because it's for everyone. So when everyone jumps on board and understands that we are here for all people, not just a situation among the blacks or minorities.
Might add, if you have complaints about the NAACP, come to the meetings, voice your opinions, voice your dislikes, become a member.
So one of our Caucasian citizens gets jumped on by 5 black individuals, African American individuals, and make racial slurs toward that person, the NAACP would fight just as hard to protect that individual's constitutional rights as the black children.
Exactly. I mean, you can't say, well, this guy was white, so whatever. No, his civil rights was violated. He stands in line just like because it's not a color thing anymore. It's what we do, and it's how we live in our society today.
Great answer, I think. I'm more specific about some things that kind of our community is really concerned about. Let's talk about crime to start off with. African Americans in our county account for about 9% of the population, but we account for just over 20% of the felony arrest. What do you think about that?
Felony arrest or conviction.
Okay.
We know that, and I don't like to use the word black on black crime, but a lot of our communities, our young men and women are stuck in that. They can't get out. So you're going to have some conflicts. So when you say a certain percent arrest on a felony, I don't have the numbers, but what would be the conviction?
And to dig deeper into those particular arrests, they're, by you saying it, black on black crime, if you will, they may be put into some socioeconomic situations that, because of the closeness of where they live, the other stimulus around you. For an example, I like to constantly use, in Beverly Hills, there's no liquor stores or gun shops, right? So there may be gun shops and liquor stores all around you, and therefore you commit more situations. Or so those kind of the lack of enlightenment, if you will, about what's the repercussions, and that sense of helplessness drives them to do things that other people may not do.
Exactly.
So don't put words in your mouth. That's what I shot for.
We have that, plus we have a lot of false images in the community. For instance, the gangster rappers, the gangsters themselves. We see the drug guys driving big cars, and the youth are influenced by this. And with lack of education and jobs, it presents a problem.
Do we do our share, especially African American males? Do we do a good share of seeing that young man walking down the street with his pants hanging down? Do we challenge him on it? And I mean not confrontational, but do you say, young man, could you do X? Are we doing our share of getting involved in the community, being that role model that these young people need?
Yes, as much as we can. The conflict is that if that young man is, say for instance, he's walking down the street with his mother, father, or what have you, pants are down. Do you say anything to that young man or that parent?
The parent in that situation.
Okay. By the same token, a lot of our churches here nowadays, it's not the old school church where you went to church with the tie, the suit, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You come as you are. Society now accepts, but we mumble, we grumble, we turn our head. But you never know if that young man is going to turn around and retaliate you saying something to him.
Right.
So it's a dangerous situation for society when schools have removed prayer. Schools doesn't allow Bibles. It's hard for old school me, that I raised 16 grandkids, so it's always been a yes sir, yes ma'am. I've only been in the Victor Valley here for a little over 5 years from Mobile County, Alabama. Okay. So yes sir, yes ma'am. And it's still a long ways from where I grew up.
That basic foundation is the key to our culture as well. We were raised, I mean, you would never respond that way to your grandparents.
And there's no one from the neighborhood.
You couldn't do that. So that piece of the foundation, I think, has been taken away or eroded, and then it affects itself all through. The positive role model we talked about, this black.
Getting back to the single parent, I have an aunt that sent 5 daughters through college. Never drove a car. Single parent. Walked to work every day. You know, she's still living. She has 3 teachers, 2 social workers, and 5 of the girls have retired. You know, so now they take care of mom.
Right.
It's that mutual respect that we grew up with, that we have, you know.
Right.
But now it's this thing of the past almost.
And we don't have the village anymore.
Right. Takes a village.
It takes a village. Where I grew up, if I did something wrong 5 blocks from the house, by the time I got home, my mother knew about it. Okay. And I had not addressed a lady as Miss or a man as Mr. And that get back home.
Yeah.
So we need to get back to that. We need the village, because it takes more than the parents to raise your kids.
My father was a little bit more old school. He would actually take you back down the street, whoop you in front of that person, and take you back home and whoop you again.
Whoop you again,
yeah,
exactly.
That's how he rolled. And 6 boys in South Central, so he had to do what he had to do, and it worked. So, you know. How about AB 109? How has that affected our community?
I've noticed the increase in homeless, noticed the increase in crime. I get an alert and my phone beeps all the time because we're getting break-ins. The community itself is suffering because 109 interferes with trying to, I would say, monitor or maintain the youth. You know, we've got that added to the aspect of trying to do something for our kids, trying to have them during the off season, when they're out of school or what have you at night, socializing. But the AB 109 is something that we've been talking about, and with the funding problems that we're having with the county and the state and the federal, it's not only our community, but we're here in the Victor Valley, so certain communities are a little bit more bothered by the homeless and the prisoners being released early.
When I meant our community, I meant the whole community.
Exactly, yeah.
When it comes to economics, city data reports that just over 20%, 20.4% of African Americans live in poverty in our county. This is higher than any other racial group. Can you guys maybe enlighten me on what unique challenges that arise from that, or what can be done to address that?
You want to start on that one first?
Economics, I think it's the biggest problem is jobs. We have no jobs, and a man has to do something to live. So it goes back to crime.
Right, takes its self-respect away. If you have the smallest job in the world, or whatever it's going to be, and you work hard at it, you're good at it, regardless of again what you do, it gives you a sense of self-respect, which goes back to education as well. Would you concur that if you don't have a basic education, high school degree, people don't realize how important that is just to get the basic job.
True.
You know, so
I passed the highway construction. Put your thumbs down and your fingers up, and you could probably use this on minorities working.
But is that because they didn't have opportunity, or they didn't gather the skills over their lifetime to be able to be in a position to get that job?
We've been checking and doing a little investigation, but you could probably deaf and dumb to hold a sign and know when to turn it.
I like the way you phrase that.
You know,
It's not very complicated. So in other words, what you're saying as well is, in some situations, it would seem that you have to know somebody to get in certain jobs. And if it's a job or a category that's been basically traditionally African Americans have not been afforded an equal shot at that particular job, it's less likely that they end up getting that job. Understood, the whole 100%. Just talk about some people of color again. About 30% of the U.S. population are people of color, but they account for 60% of those imprisoned. In the prison, population grew about 700% between 1970 and 2005. The incarceration rate disproportionately impact those of color. 1 out of every 15 African American men are in prison. 1 out of every 36 Hispanic males are incarcerated, and 1 out of every 106 white men are in prison. Any comments about that?
It goes back to when we were discussing, I think it was number 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't have anything to do out here, you almost look for a reason to go in and get you a bunk and a meal.
Yeah, free meals on the cot, kind of thing.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's safer in there for those that, you know, that don't have a job, don't have a family.
Mm-hmm.
We have never been the type to just really